Okay, so let us begin, and we'll begin with the verse of homage to the Buddha. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Okay, we're ready to begin. And I should mention that I saw on my email register this morning that some people are coming into Zoom for this class. Let me see the times. At 3:40 a.m., 3:52 a.m., 5:07 a.m., 6:05 a.m. It's a bit early. We start the class at 9:30. And so you could come in to Zoom at, just to be sure, 9:25 a.m. We have a Zoom now, a Zoom program which has the capacity to accommodate up to 500 people. So you don't have to worry that you're going to be excluded. Earlier, we were using a Zoom program that could take only 100 people. So some people wanted to come in but couldn't get in. But now with the upgraded version, we could take up to 500. So it's no problem. Okay, so we are continuing now with our reading of the Anguttara Nikaya, the numerical discourses of the Buddha. We are in the Chattuka Nipata, that's the collection of the 4 suttas that revolve around 4 items. And now we're taking sutta number 34, which is called, in Pali, called Pasada, which in English we translate as confidence. Let me just get a blank file for notes. Okay, so the decisive word here in Pali is pasada. And in this case, in this sutta, we have the word agapasada, where aga means supreme, foremost, chief, most excellent. And the word pasada is closely connected with another idea in Buddhism. This is saddha, which I translate as faith, whereas pasada I translate confidence, or another sort of nuance of pasada would be trust. And the word pasada comes from a verb, pasidati, which has several meanings, sort of overlapping or integrated meanings. So one sense of pasidati is to feel confidence, to feel trust. But another nuance of pasidati is to settle down and to be calm, to become tranquil. And so the way these two meanings overlap and merge together is that when one develops confidence in something which is spiritually arouses and it awakens one's trust, the mind, which has been previously in a state of distress, commotion, unease, restlessness, doubt, uncertainty. Now it settles down. It becomes calm and tranquil because it has some support for placing trust and confidence. And as I said, this trust or confidence indicated by pasada is related to the noun saddha, which I translate as faith. Some translators translate saddha as confidence, but I don't agree with this. I think saddha um, denotes something which is stronger than confidence. So I find faith to be the most adequate rendering for saddha. Though faith in Buddhism, it's not a blind faith. It's not an unquestioning faith. But saddha arises, or it can arise, on the basis of questioning, investigation, interrogation. But once it arises, it closely approximates to the quality that in other religions we call faith. And the noun saddha is derived from the verb saddhati, which is based, I believe it's based on a stem dahati, which means to place, to put. And so one places faith in something or someone. And the way pasada and saddha, the way they're interrelated, this is my understanding. I haven't done a kind of detailed scholarly study of the relationship between the two, but I would say that saddha involves, to a greater degree, an element of belief. Or we could say it has a stronger cognitive content than pasada. To illustrate the difference between the two. Okay, we might take a villager in ancient India who's maybe going about his daily work outside, maybe a farmer plowing the field. And he has never seen a Buddhist monk before. And now a Buddhist monk comes walking by his house very calmly, peacefully, and one could see that he's walking with sati sampajanya, with mindfulness and clear comprehension. His features look very calm and gentle. And so the householder looks up and sees that monk approaching on alms round. And what he will experience just by looking at the monk will be pasada. There comes a kind of, he feels pleased with that monk. He feels some kind of trusting confidence arise towards that monk, that this is a person who is well disciplined, who has trained himself or herself well, who has a certain degree of, let us say, spiritual development, inner spiritual accomplishment. So what that householder undergoes is pacidity. He becomes calm and tranquil and develops pasada, confidence. But not yet, this is in my understanding, not yet saddha. Through that trusting confidence that the householder gains in the monk, he might ask the monk, please, Venerable, teach me something about the Dharma that you are following. Okay, then the monk will sit down, maybe in the house of the farmer, and start giving a short discourse on the Dharma. And when the householder hears the discourse, then the discourse becomes meaningful and relevant and beneficial to himself, to herself. And so then, based on that hearing of the discourse, the householder will gain some belief in the teaching that they are hearing, and then there will arise saddha, or faith. And so we could say that in pasada, what is present is primarily, what I would say is the emotional element is predominant, at least in the initial kind of pasada. But when the pasada, when that confidence, the initial confidence is confirmed and strengthened by exposure to the content of the Dhamma, then the cognitive element becomes active. And so when that cognitive element of belief combines with the emotional element of trusting confidence, then it turns into saddha. Okay, now there's another expression of a way of qualifying pasada that we find in the suttas, which is a vecha pasada. And this is what is often translated as unshakable confidence. Or unwavering confidence. And in this case, pasada is preceded by this qualification. Technically, this is called an absolutive of, it's based on the verb aveti, which means to undergo or to experience. And what is indicated here is that one has undergone the experience of penetrating to the truth of the Dhamma, the truth of the Buddha's teachings. And so one now has a confidence in the teaching, which is based on an experiential insight into the truth of the teaching. So in this unshakable confidence, though I think the word pasada still puts the stress on the emotional element, but this emotional element is rooted in a cognitive realization of the truth of the Dhamma. And this avecha pasada, this unshakable confidence, this unwavering confidence, or I've translated it as confirmed confidence, because the initial trust has been confirmed by one's own confirmation of the truth of the teaching through personal realization. In this avecha pasada, this is the defining mark of one who has reached at least the stage, at minimum the stage, of stream entry, or sotapatti in Pali. So the stream enterer is one who has made the first breakthrough, the initial breakthrough to the truth of the Dhamma. So this is called Dham Abhisamaya. So Abhisamaya, it's realization, personal realization, which breaks through to the truth. And so it's the realization of the Four Noble Truths as a unified whole, as an integral whole. And so the stream enterer gains the Dhamma Chakku, the eye of the Dhamma, through which they see the Four Noble Truths as an integral, unified whole. And that seeing of the Four Noble Truths with the eye of Dhamma is called Dhamm Abhisamaya, the breakthrough to the truth, the realization of the truth of the Dhamma. And through that realization, the consequence of that realization is gaining avecca pasada. That unshakable, unwavering confidence. Because once one gains that realization of the Dhamma, once one attains the stage of stream entry, this confidence, this trust can never waver, can never change, can never be broken. And also there are some expressions to qualify this kind of faith. I remember, let me see if I could find that expression quickly. Yeah, it's called oops. There's a whole series of terms to describe it. So this is the saddha of a stream enterer, is described as nivita, which means it's settled, it's fixed, it's mula jata, it's sent down roots, just as a plant or tree which has sent down its roots, the tree cannot be shaken. And it's patitita, which means it's well-established, grounded faith. And it's said to be dasana mulika, which means that it's rooted in vision, rooted in insight. And it's dalha, firm or steady, and asangharya, unshakable. Okay, so that is the faith that arises through direct realization. And I say that this saddha, this fixed, unshakable faith, is equivalent, let us say it's intimately related to this unwavering confidence. But the unwavering confidence emphasizes the emotional side, the trust, the aspect of trust, whereas the unshakable faith emphasizes the aspect of belief, cognitive trust, whereas pasada is emotional trust. Okay, so all of this is a kind of preliminary to the, or preparation for the content of the sutta. Now, this sutta is speaking about the foremost kinds of pasada, foremost kinds of confidence, but it doesn't qualify that confidence as being unshakable confidence. So it can be confidence of any level, but what is being emphasized here is the objects of confidence rather than the quality of the confidence itself. Okay, so let us go now directly into the sutta. And we have four foremost kinds of confidence. So the key number is 4. Okay, so the first we're going to see is confidence in the Tathagata, the Buddha himself. And so the sutta, or the passage, begins by saying, to whatever extent there are beings, living beings, whether they have no feet, that would be like snakes, or 2 feet, those are human beings, 4 feet, many feet, whether having form or formless, whether percipient, non-percipient, neither percipient nor non-percipient. So these are the ways in which the early Buddhist texts distinguish and classify different types of sentient beings. So of all of these sentient beings, the one who is declared the foremost among them is the Tathagata, who is also called the Arahat, the Sammasambuddha, the perfectly enlightened one. So he is the foremost. And then those who have confidence in the Buddha, they have confidence in the foremost. So this is indicating, we could say that what's being indicated here, probably we could say of all spiritual teachers, the teacher for the Buddhist that is regarded as foremost, the chief, the supreme teacher, is the Buddha. Okay, now the next statement in this passage is quite interesting. And this, we could say, is indicating the result of that confidence. So the confidence itself is a kind of causal factor, and that causal factor has a certain result, which is the fruit of that confidence. So it says, for those who have confidence in the foremost, the result is foremost. And the text uses the word vipaka. Okay, so it says, for those who have confidence in the foremost, in this case, who have confidence in the Buddha, the result, the vipaka, is foremost. And the word vipaka, usually we encounter the word vipaka in relation to karma. So we have a relationship of karma and karma vipaka, the result of karma. So this statement here is suggesting, statement in the sutta is suggesting that placing confidence in the foremost is a karmically creative action. We would say that this is, in this case, it's a mano karma. That is a karma of mind. So often we distinguish kaya karma, vachi karma, and mano karma. So this is action expressed bodily. Vachi karma is action of speech, verbal karma, and mano karma is karma generated purely through the mind. And so when one develops confidence in a particular object, in this case, in the Buddha, one is generating or creating a kind of manokarma, a karma of the mind. And this karma, like any kind of karma, is capable of producing its fruits. And so we can have unwholesome types of mental karma based in confidence and wholesome types of karma based in confidence. So maybe let's take, say, a teacher who says that there's no validity to the distinction of good and bad. You can do whatever you want and you don't have to face the consequences. This morality business is just a hoax imposed on us by these straight-laced, frustrated people who are putting these unnecessary restraints on themselves. Whatever you want, you should do. You don't have to be afraid of the consequences. So you listen to a teacher who teaches in that way. You believe that teacher, you have a kind of misdirected saddha, and emotionally you place trust and confidence in them. Okay, that we could say would be an unwholesome karma, which is rooted in, or which is governed by, a kind of confidence. But this would be a misdirected confidence, a faulty kind of confidence. But when one brings to mind the Buddha and thinks of the Buddha with a kind of trust and devotion towards the Buddha, then one is developing confidence in the foremost. And that confidence is a very powerful, wholesome, mind-generated karma. And that kind of karma is capable of bringing beneficial results, karmic results in the future. So in the present, we could say that when one develops that confidence in the Buddha, the mind becomes calm and peaceful, and one develops joy. That joy gives rise to happiness, and that joy and happiness that comes from confidence in the Buddha can become the governing factors in the process of developing samadhi. And so this we would say is a result here and now in the present of developing confidence in the Buddha. So in this present life, we have pasada, confidence, which is also connected with faith, gives rise to joy. In Pali, this is called pamoja. And when that joy becomes stronger, it gives rise to rapture or delight. This is piti. And from this piti, we get passaddhi, which is tranquility. gives rise to happiness, sukha, which gives rise to samadhi, concentration. And so that's why one could use this confidence in the Buddha as a starting point, a foundation, as a meditative practice for gaining samadhi, because this confidence in the Buddha gives rise to joy, delight, tranquility, happiness. And through that happy mind, the happy mind directed and governed by confidence and by faith, propels the mind towards samadhi. So that we could say is a benefit visible in this present life. But also, this is important, that confidence, trusting confidence in the Buddha, please keep the microphone on. That trusting confidence in the Buddha also generates wholesome karma. It can be even a very powerful wholesome karma, because its foundation, its basis is the person of the Buddha himself. And so we say that the Buddha in countless past lives fulfilled the practices of a bodhisattva over many aeons, practicing, developing, cultivating the 6 paramitas or the 10 paramis, by which he's acquired the ability, the capacity to function as a source of blessings for the world. And so when people bring to mind the Buddha, even after the Buddha has passed away into final liberation, final nibbana, but we're bringing to mind a person who has cultivated this power of blessings through the paramitas, and he's become like a powerhouse of blessing power, just like we have at the physical level, a powerhouse which is generating electricity, a grid which is generating electricity. And so thousands of people are getting their electricity, their electric power from that powerhouse, from that grid. And so the Buddha is a kind of spiritual powerhouse, a spiritual electric grid. And so when we tune our minds to the person of the Buddha, we are sort of conducting through the invisible wires, or maybe it's a wireless transmission, or we are picking up the blessing power of the Buddha. And that blessing power, at one level, it's helping to generate joy, rapture, tranquility, happiness, leading to samadhi. But at another level, it's generating the powerful, wholesome karma, which will bring its vipaka, its result. And it's said that that result is foremost. So even a person who doesn't have any highly developed wisdom, even without any understanding of the Dharma, just by thinking of the Buddha with trusting confidence, by looking at the beautiful physical form of the Buddha, and thinking of the Buddha's purity, his wisdom, his compassion, his loving kindness, his outstanding teaching capacities, and so forth. When one thinks of those qualities of the Buddha, then one generates this powerful, wholesome karma, which can bring as its result even rebirth into excellent conditions in the human realm, being reborn with good faculties, with a disposition towards the Dhamma, with the seed of wisdom. or one can be reborn into the heavenly realms. And developing that confidence in the Buddha also becomes the foundation for cultivating, for progress along the path of practice that will culminate in the attainment of the world transcending paths and fruition attainments. So this is why we say that for those who have confidence in the foremost, the result is foremost. So the result visible here and now in this present life will be developing the Samadhi, and that Samadhi becomes the foundation for developing Panya. That's the wisdom which culminates in the paths and fruits, the attainment of Maggapala, path and fruition. So that is the result visible here and now. But even if one doesn't gain those results here and now, we could say the result in future lives result is good rebirth and easy progress, leading to attainment of path and fruit in future lives. Okay, so this is a discussion of confidence in the Buddha as the foremost. Okay, now I'm going to let people ask questions. So if you want to ask questions, the way to do it, next to your name, how does this work? There's a way to, I can't say it myself, but there's a way for you to raise your hand electronically. And when you do this, then I will see the raised hand. So I see a raised hand, James Cook. So I'm going to unmute you so you can ask your question.
Bhante, what you're just speaking of as the powerhouse of the Buddha and this system of faith, and would you connect that or be able to speak of that in terms of the dispensation of the Buddha? Is that the actual dispensation of the Buddha's blessing, so to speak?
Yeah, okay, so the question is whether there's faith or confidence in the Buddha is the dispensation of the Buddha. Yeah, the word that is translated as dispensation. Well, let's say the English word dispensation is used as a rendering for the Pali word sasana. I don't know where that word dispensation, how it came to be used. I want to see some synonyms for dispensation. Indulgence, allowance, privilege, exemption, release. But it's become standard. I call this Buddhenglish. It's one of those Buddhenglish words. An English word drawn upon to use in a unique sense for a standard Buddhist term. So the standard Buddhist term is sasana, which originally meant simply the teaching of the Buddha, but has come to mean, say, in Sri Lanka, the way I understand sasana, I call it the historical and communal manifestation of the Buddha's teaching. So it would be the structures, the forms, the institutional expressions that represent, that preserve, transmit, and represent the Buddha's teaching. Yeah. So I don't think the confidence in the Buddha himself is actually the sasana, but the sasana is the institutional and communal expression of Buddhism. Okay, let me go to Olivia. Let me unmute you. Okay.
Hello, hello Bhante. So my question is, it's been really wonderful to listen to the difference between confidence and faith, or, and it seems like in the example you gave, that once one has the basic confidence, there's the possibility of giving rise to joy, rapture, and moving up to Samadhi.
Yeah.
So it seems like it'll spiral up. Is this the same thing that happens when one reaches the level of faith?
Yeah. I
It's
say both.
just at a different level.
Yeah, both. Actually, if you see the way I put it here, it's both pasada and sutta working together. At this point, probably you can't really distinguish them very clearly. They're sort of almost integrated into one whole. But I just say that's the word pasada puts more emphasis on that, the feeling of trust and tranquility of mind, or the calmness that sets in when one has that trust. Whereas with sutta, maybe the emphasis is more on belief. But they're sort of functioning together as two aspects of one integral whole. And so they both lead, or working together, they bring the successive steps in the sequence.
Okay.
Is that
Thank you, Bhikkhu Bodhi.
okay? Okay, so then I take Dayani or Dayani.
It's Dayani Bante.
Okay, Dayani. Okay.
Yes. I have this question about the Sotapatti Bante. It was said just now that the averti to undergo to experience the truth of Buddha's teaching confirm confidence that can reach stream enterer. So could you elaborate more about the more real requirement or condition to be the stream enterer? And then the next is it possible for us to identify a person that he or she is a stream enterer? Thank you, Bante.
Okay, for the first question, like what are the requirements for the attainment of stream entry?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Of course, there are many, many factors that go into the attainment of stream, that are sort of the requisites for the attainment of stream entry. But just one simple formulation that we find in the text speak about 4 factors, which they're called the factors for the attainment of stream entry. Let me see if I could remember them offhand. So there is associating with saintly people. This is Sapurisa Sangsevana. So associating with the wise, associating with good people. Then listen, of course, those would be the people that are able to transmit and to teach the Dhamma properly. Then the second factor is Saddhamma Savana, listening to the good Dhamma. So you listen and hear the Dhamma. Then the third factor is Yoniso Manasikara, which is wise reflection. So you hear the Dhamma, then you reflect upon it, you think about it, you examine it, you turn it over in the mind in order to impress it on the mind. And then comes Dhammano Dhamma Patipatti, which is practice in line with the Dhamma. Practice in accordance with the Dhamma. So that would be developing the Sila, Samadhi, and Panya. Good conduct, concentration, and wisdom. So that's a simple formulation of factors that lead to stream entry. Then the question, can you identify a person as a stream enterer just by looking at them? I'd say not really possible. Though from looking at the behavior of some people, you could certainly conclude this one is not a stream enterer. If a person is acting contrary to the precepts, then you could be sure that person is not a stream enterer. But a person can be of very good conduct, even have good meditation, be able to sit in meditation for a long time, have a good intellectual understanding of the Dhamma, but it's not necessarily the case that they're an actual stream enterer. Okay, I think that.
Thank you very much, Bante. Yeah, that's answer my question.
Okay, let me unmute Ravi. Okay, Ravi, you're open.
Yes, Bhante. Yeah. I usually use the term confidence instead of faith because, you know, I speak to a lot of people who are non-Buddhist, and almost everyone says that their faith is not blind faith because they believe the whole, when you look around the world,
They believe what?
they believe that when they look around, every place, flowers, tree, everything is created, and therefore they have confidence or faith in God or whatever.
Yeah.
So to them, it's not blind faith. So therefore, I tend to use the word confidence after proper understanding, because based on what you said, the real saddha would come only with entering the stream enterer, sotapanna. Before that, you are really not understanding in the way of the real correct faith. Did I get it correct, or?
I don't think so. When you say that saddha comes only with the attainment of stream entry, no, I mean, you know the Sinhalese Dharmadesana, they'll address people as saddhavanta. So even
Yes.
ordinary people,
Yeah, this is what I thought, yes.
Ordinary people who have faith and confidence in the Buddha Dharma, you say that they have saddha.
Yeah.
But what's characteristic of the stream enterer is that saddha has become it's become firm, unshakable.
Unshakable faith, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I understand that part. That's what I thought. But the reason is when you use the word faith, everyone believes that their religion is not a blind faith.
Okay. Okay. I think we have to move on now with the questions because I see a lot of questions. Okay. Tan Ji Chung. Okay, you're open.
Bhante, can you hear me?
Oh, very clearly. Yeah.
Bhante, good evening, Bhante.
It's actually, where are you?
I'm in Malaysia.
Yeah, it's morning here. Okay.
Okay, good morning, Bhante.
Good morning.
You've enumerated a list of conditions from confidence to joy to bliss to samadhi all the way to samadhi. There is another this thing which starts with chetana. In chetana, once a person has that, he also goes through this same progression.
With Chaitanya.
Yeah, Chaitanya. When not Chaitanya, yeah, the name of the sutta is Chaitanya. It starts with virtue. The other one, other instance that I mentioned, it starts with virtue, freedom of remorse, satisfaction, tranquility, and even all the way to knowledge of and insight of liberation. Are these two do these two persons go through the same progression?
It's the same progression. It just starts at a different point.
I see.
Because the thing is that when you have saddha, then one naturally takes up the precepts and observes the precepts. So then you have the silas, and then those silas become the basis, according to that sutta, the basis for non-remorse. Then comes joy, confidence, and so on. The one that begins with saddha, the sutta that I have in mind, is in the Anguttara Nikaya, chapter 12. It's the Nidana Samyutta, Sutta number 23. It's a series that I've called World Transcending Dependent Origination. Okay, so that is under Anguttara Nikaya. The one that I mentioned was Anguttara Nikaya 11.2. Yeah, yeah. But it's just it just starts with the second rung. That means the first one would be saddha. Yeah, yeah. Okay, Bhante, thank you. Okay, then I see Hung. I'm going to unmute. Oh, whoops.
Yeah, Bhante.
Okay, you're open now.
Yeah, Bhante, can you hear me?
Now I can hear you, yeah, clearly.
Yeah, yeah. Good morning. I was from Malaysia. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, my question is, how are we going to able to develop that unshakable confidence in the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha? How to? how to develop?
Well, one has to start with ordinary faith, and then one practices the different stages, one practices the different factors of the teaching. And then as one practices, then I say that one's faith and confidence become stronger and stronger, because one is starting to get experiential confirmation of one's faith and confidence. So it's only with the stage of stream entry that the faith becomes asangharya, unshakable, or the confidence becomes avecha, unbreakable. Until that we reach that, there's still the possibility of the breaking of faith, the shaking of the confidence, but through practice, it becomes stronger and stronger. And then when one makes that breakthrough to realization, then it becomes unshakable.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Bhante.
Okay, now we move to Gita. Let me unmute. Whoops. Okay, now you're open.
Good morning, Bhante.
Good morning.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you for teaching us. Bhante, the Itipiso Gatha would be a great asset to get into that meditation you were talking about. Because you had a lecture on it also, to review all of the verses and to understand the meaning in your mind state will help us to get into that form of samadhi. Confidence in the Buddha?
That is the formal practice of recollection of the Buddha, using there are 9 qualities that are mentioned in the standard formula.
Right, and this would help us to get into that state of samadhi?
Yeah, though the way I found to practice it most, well, that's almost a different subject, but to practice it most effectively, in my experience, is to begin with the 9 qualities, get familiar with them, then work down to, out of the 9, choose 3 that are clearest and that resonate best with one's own understanding.
Practice?
Yeah. And then one works with the 3 qualities for a while. Then one chooses 1 quality out of the 3 and just turns that 1 quality over. And that way one is gradually strengthening the concentration. But that's the way that I've developed it myself. Other people might use all 9 to get samadhi.
Thank you, Bhante. Thank you for your generosity and kindness.
Yeah. Okay, farming. Let me unmute. Okay, you're open.
Thank you for teaching. Actually, my question, I think the previous one already asking about the recollection of the Buddha. And my question, I'd like to know that when we get the samadhi and we have the rapture and joy and tranquility getting to the samadhi, how we can contemplate the object and then get into the panna. And also another question.
How we can what?
Just how can we get from the samadhi get into the insight wisdom?
Oh, I see. How to go from the samadhi to the insight wisdom.
Yeah, and also another question is.
Wait, let's take one question at a time. Okay. So, in regard to that question, to go from that samadhi to the panya, you have to then withdraw or drop the recollection of the qualities of the Buddha, and instead turn the direction, or turn the attention to the mind itself, and look into the mind and see that mind that has been experiencing the joy of concentration on the Buddha, it's a mental state made up of mental factors that are arising and passing away. And so one moves through those mental factors, and then one also observes the body, which has been sort of the support for the mental act of focusing on the qualities of the Buddha. And so now one is sort of using that samadhi from focusing on the qualities of the Buddha to look into the 5 aggregates. And so when looks into form, then the feeling, the perception, the volition or intention, and the consciousness. And so one is now defining that experience in terms of the five aggregates, and then one moves into the observation of the five aggregates as arising and passing away. And that gives the initial insight into impermanence. Okay, the second question.
Second question is regarding the things you mentioned about the mano. So can you differentiate what's the difference between mano, citta, and the vijnana?
Yeah, I think that's a big question, which is in a way not so directly related here. So for now, we'll drop that question, but at a later time, when we come into suttas that are dealing more analytically with the nature of mind, then you could bring that question up again.
Okay, thank you, Bande. Thank you.
Okay, let's see. Neelam. Okay.
Good morning, Bhante. Good morning. I'm asking this question again, it seems, because Gita and Fleming, they both asked almost what I'm going to ask. I'll make it very short.
Okay.
I just want to know, is it possible to attain samadhi by just meditating and following the rules? Or is there something more to it?
Or is there something what?
Something more to it, like to get it to the stage of attaining samadhi.
Well, it takes many, many factors. Actually, why don't you hold that question? Because as we go along, a sutta that's coming up after a few classes will be on different types of samadhi. So maybe that question is more relevant when we get to that sutta.
And Bhante, I just want to know, how do I get there? How do I start following that path? Like, I'm so lost. So that's the reason I asked. How do I start? At least I don't know.
Let us say the essential foundation for moving towards samadhi is, okay, you need the foundation of sila, of observing the precepts, living in accordance with the precepts. Then one has to practice within the framework of, one has to practice meditation with one of the meditation subjects, which is laid down for the development of samadhi. So there are many, many different meditation subjects, and one chooses one that accords with one's inclination, one's preferences. It could be mindfulness of breathing. It could be one of the Brahma Viharas, like loving kindness. It could be one of the three recollections usually of the three Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. Most people find recollection of the Buddha to be easiest. Or it could be a more difficult one is meditation on the parts of the body. Sort of any meditation subject that helps to settle the mind. And then one practices diligently, and that becomes the means to samadhi.
So how do I do that? How do I get there? Like, who can lead me to that?
Wherever you're living, you find a place where there is a long-term meditation retreat being given, at least on a week or 10 days.
Okay.
And enter the retreat and practice, and that will help lead you to samadhi.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Abhaya, let me unmute. Abhaya? Okay, you're open now.
Good morning, Bhante. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
The question, the first, showing up at 6 a.m. here in Vancouver, BC, 9 a.m. your time is 6 a.m. So that might clarify why we're a little early.
So you joined at?
Yeah, at 6 a.m.
Oh, I see. So you actually came really, it would be our time, 9 a.m. I see. So it's showing the Vancouver. I see. I see.
So
Okay.
I'm enjoying your explanation. I've been referring to the copy of the Book of Fours.
Yeah.
And it seems to me that in the Book of Fours, that Sutta number 34 is giving, in a sense, it seems to match up directly with what you said, the four elements of stream entry.
But the four what? Oh, the four elements of stream entry.
Stream entry, with what you're suggesting with the Sangha and listening to the Dhamma and the wise reflection and practices in line with the Dhamma as what we work on, what we do. And these seem to be to the four background confidences in the process. Confidence in the Buddha, confidence in the Noble Eightfold Path, confidence in
the Sangha,
uprooting the attachments. Yeah, and the last one in my copy is the Sangha, the associating with the wise.
Actually, that's a good observation. Yeah, I didn't think of it from that angle, but
it just seems like there's a lot of mirroring, especially when you come up with the numbers like the four.
Yeah.
I really appreciate what you said about the question about how to get there and how the value of a 10 or a 14-day silent retreat away from hustle and bustle.
Yeah.
Because I appreciate what you said.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Okay, one more. Let me see. I'm not sure how to pronounce the name. But, okay, you're open.
Bhikkhu Bodhi.
Yeah.
It's good, GH. I'm from Malaysia as well, from Penang. I have just one question regarding that you mentioned about the attainment of stream entry, and you mentioned about 4 factors. In regards to the 4 factors on Samadhi, does one actually have to reach, to attain jhana number 1 to be able to become a stream entry, or as long as I have the unisono sikara and associate with the right people and reading your books, is it sufficient to become a stream entry?
Yeah.
I need to attain jhana number 1 to become a stream entry.
Yeah, my opinion, it's definitely not necessary to attain the jhanas to become a stream enterer. That there's a way to move into the development or cultivation of insight that will lead directly to stream entry without requiring jhana.
Okay, thank you. Right, that's all. Thank you.
Okay, I think I see a Ravi Sarah. Ravi Sarah?
Yes, Bhante, Ravi Sarah. Bhante, regarding what you just said about the first jhana not being necessary for stream entry.
Yeah.
According to Abhidhamma, isn't it essential to sort of attain the first jhana at the time of attaining stream entry, like according to Abhidhamma?
Yeah, that's according to the Abhidhamma system, where it's a rather technical point, where each of the world transcending paths and fruits occurs at a level of the jhanas. And so for somebody who doesn't develop previous jhana, when they reach the path and fruit, their path and fruit attainment occurs at the level of the first jhana. But I think I was answering from what I would call a common sense, ordinary perspective, where the person who asked the question was asking, whether it's necessary to develop the ordinary jhanas before attaining stream entry. And in that case, I would say no.
Okay,
So I wasn't speaking from an Abhidhammic perspective.
Okay, Bhante, thank you.
Okay, Ravi was Karunaratna was going to speak again. Okay.
Bhante, yes. Further to my earlier conversation, Bhante, regarding faith, I would think it would be better if we say faith in the Dhamma or faith in Buddha Dhamma instead of just the faith, because faith is common to all religions. But because
yeah, this is just a matter of terminology, but
yeah.
I don't think we should dwell on this.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Bhante.
Okay. Okay, Dayani? Or again,
Yes, Bhante, yes.
Okay.
Also regarding the sila that we need to observe
yeah.
for the Sotapatthi's stream entry requirement, as a lay person, we know about the 5 silas, the 8 silas. Sometimes some Bhantes ask us to do the 10 silas, while the Sangha, they do 211 silas. So, so how many silas it is for the lay person, for our daily thing, in order to be a stream enterer, Bhante? We have to observe.
Well, the Buddha for lay people lay down really just 5 precepts as we call it constant observance of the 5 precepts. So we know what those are: abstaining from killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, false speech, use of intoxicants. And then sort of as you might call a powerful way of strengthening the sila, one's accumulation of sila, of conduct, is on certain days, particularly the Uposatha days, to take the 8 precepts.
Right.
As a kind of observing those for the day and the night. 10 precepts. I know that there's a way now that has been developed of giving 8 precepts, whereby they take the 8 courses of wholesome conduct: not killing, not stealing, no sexual misconduct, then 4 from speech: not lying, no malicious speech, no harsh speech, no gossip, and then right livelihood is the 8th. But in the Nikayas, those are not laid down as precepts. In modern times, they've turned them into precepts. And of course, if one observes them, it's so much the better. But if one just follows the earliest text, we have 5 precepts for constant observance and the 8 Uposatha precepts.
Okay, thank you, Bhante. So I listen to some Dhamma who say a stream enterer, sometimes they are still unable to let go anger sometimes. So indeed, this anger, isn't it fall into harsh speech, Bhante? As a stream enterer,
I would say certainly it's possible for a stream enterer to engage in harsh speech. If they get angry, they could speak harshly. So that's not an impossibility for a stream enterer. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Bhante.
Okay, Tan Chi Chung, and this will have to be the last question because we'll have to end.
Bhante.
Okay.
Am I the last question?
Yeah.
Bhante, a person who follows through this route that you have just described, through confidence and joy and bliss, is he one that we call sadhanusari, a faith follower? How do you describe a faith follower, Bhante?
Okay, there are 2 different ways or approaches that disciples can use for attaining the stage of stream entry. One is, oops, let me just, okay, one is called Sadhanusari, and the other is called Dhammanusari. Okay, so these two are persons who are on the way to stream entry. They're bound to reach stream entry. So they've entered the definite, irreversible path, but not yet realized the fruit. And they differ according to the dominant faculty. So the Sadhanusari is one whose dominant faculty is Saddha, is faith. And so they cultivate the path, motivated and driven and directed by faith. But of course, in order to attain realization, just faith alone is not enough. But the faith, I say, it's the motivation for developing the practice, and it's through wisdom that one makes the breakthrough to the attainment of stream entry. That always has to come through wisdom. But faith is, you could say, their motivation, their driving force is faith. In the case of the Dhammanusari, the motivation, the driving force is investigation, examination, investigation with wisdom. And so this is the kind of person, you could say, who likes to investigate the Dhamma, to question the Dhamma, to work out the Dhamma, to understand it intellectually, and then that becomes the motivation, the driving force for the cultivation of the path.
So, but a faith follower can only reach to a level of Sotapatti Magga if he has not, if he does not develop further. Based on faith alone, he can only reach that level.
On faith alone, without the other faculties, one can't reach stream entry. What one needs to reach stream entry, one needs all 5 faculties. That's faith, energy, mindfulness, concentration, and wisdom. But the difference is that in a faith follower, the Sadhanusari, the faculty of faith is strongest. And that becomes the propelling force for the development of wisdom. And it's through wisdom that one makes the breakthrough, because the attainment of stream entry is the seeing into the truth of the Dhamma. And that act of seeing is the work of wisdom. Whereas in the case of the Dhammanusari, as I said, the driving force, the propelling force is that spirit of investigation, of examination. And so for the Dhammanusari, the faculty of wisdom is strongest, but they also need faith to be able to undertake the practice. Yeah, you'll find the difference between the two indicated. The sutta where you find the difference stated most clearly, it's in Anguttara Nikaya, chapter 25, sutta number 1.
Okay, Bhante.
Okay, we're going to have to end the session now. I was actually going to, thought that we would take 3 suttas today. And instead I took 1/4 of the sutta. But we will come back and next week, and we'll at least finish this sutta next week. Okay, now we're going to do the sharing of the merits. So I call up that file. Okay, so now as we listen to the Dhamma, discuss the Dhamma, we acquire a certain accumulation of wholesome karma. And now we're going to share these merits with the Dhamma protecting deities, the Nagas, the Bhutas or fair spirits, and then with all sentient beings. So here we have the verses in Pali. So let us chant together. Akasata chabumata devanamika punyantang anumodita chirang rakshita akasata chabumata devanamika punyantang anumodita chirang rakantu desanam akasata chabumata deva nagamahidika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakantu mang parang etavatacham hehi sampadang punya sampadang sabbe deva anumodantu sabba sampati siddhya etavatacham hehi sampadang punya sampadang sabbe bhuta anumodantu sabba sampati siddhya etavatacham hehi sampadang punya sampadang sabbe sata anumodantu sabba sampati siddhya bhavagopadaya avici hetato etantare satakaya upapanna rupya rupicha sanya sanino dukkha pamuchantu pusantu nibbutaning. Can we all say sadhu?
Thank you very much, Bante.
Okay, so thank you everybody for joining.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank you very much.
Bye. Come back next week.
Thank you for the very well explained Dhamma.
Okay.